there's the balance sheet and net worth down here. We see the standard. At this time, we want to move down to the balance sheet summary. So we're looking for the summary report in this case. Going to go ahead and run that one. There we have the summary report. Scroll down the summary balance sheet if necessary. Notice that it is a brief version of the standard balance sheet. It shows amounts for each account type, such as other accounts if, but not for individual accounts within each account type. So you'll note that if we have sub-accounts, then these accounts are going to group the accounts more tightly so that we can get a quicker idea of where we stand without as much detail. So we still have assets equal liabilities plus owner's equity, equity here, giving us the balance here. But we don't have as much detail within these accounts. And note that when we create traditionally from the trial balance to the financial statement, how many groupings we're going to make on the financial statement from basically the trial balance is up to how we want to format the financial statements. So this is a more condensed format. If we were going to give it to someone who just wants a quick overview, this would be great. If we're giving it to someone who wants to make a more detailed analysis, then we would want more information to it. All right. I'm going to scroll down. You can skip well, you're going to pause and read through here, and then I'm going to scroll down to the next gray area on page 31, which says to use the quick zoom. So place the cursor over the account receivable balance of 35,810.02, a cursor shape like a magnifying glass and containing a Z appears. This cursor indicates that the quick zoom report is available for this amount. All right, so we're going to go to the 35,810 and we're going to quick zoom. So it's a great feature we have here. And if we want to know more about that accounts receivable, what is the accounts receivable, by the way? It represents the money that is owed to the company. If we want to know more about it, how did that number come about, we can double click on it using the quick zoom and we get a transaction report by account. In this case, the accounts receivable account. So notice what this is similar to in our financial terms, and that is the general ledger or the T account in the accounts receivable, meaning it shows the balance and it shows the activity by date here. So here's the balance, here's the activity. We had an invoice increasing the balance, invoice increasing the balance, invoice increasing the balance, same. Then a payment decreasing the balance, then an invoice. That's what the accounts receivable account will look like, because that's what goes into accounts receivable. We bill someone, then we receive the payment from someone, and that should be what the activity looks like. You can also take a look at the date, the number, the name of the individual, the class, and the splits here. Remove the date prepared, time prepared, and report basis items as you did previously. The resultant transaction by account report now appears with all change accounts receivable occurred in October 1st. So then we can go over here. I'm going to go to the customize report once again, and we always go to the header and footer. They like to remove the company, I'm sorry, not the name, the date prepared, the time prepared, and the report basis. So we're going to remove those. Once again, these should disappear there, like so. So then it says we're going to double click the number 6503 to view this payment. So we can go over here. We're looking for 6503, this payment. We can quick zoom on that again. How did that get there? We can double click, and we then go to the customer payment here. So we take a look at the customer payment. Number 4 then says on page 32 that we want to double click the invoice 65 in the number column to expand one of the actual invoices that increases the accounts receivable. So I'm going to close this window, and we're going to go to the invoice, in this case being the invoice 65. So here's the number, here's 65. So I'm going to double click on that, opening the invoice in this case. So we've got the tree trimming and whatnot of the activities. Number 5, close the invoice window, the transaction by account report, which was hidden while you expand the 65 report. All right, so here is the invoice. I'm going to go ahead and print this just in case we need it once again. So we have the invoice here, invoice being the activity that we have, the quantity, the rate, the amount. Note that we can't export this to Excel. There's no export to Excel item. So if we were to print this, we could try save. There is a save as item here. We could also go to the print item and try to print it as a PDF file. So we can go here and save it as a PDF file and try that option. And it's going right where we want it to go. It should be after the first time, so it's going right in that chapter 2. And so I could just type in invoice, and we probably want to give it some other detail, maybe the number 65, like so. Now, once again, if that's not an option for you too, the last option that you could do in order to save this is to screenshot. So if we were to go here, we can go to insert a screenshot of the invoice, like so. So that is a last resort option. Again, I don't prefer this option, but you could do this option. I'm going to save it if there's no other option available to you when saving this information. You're going to put that into week 1, chapter 2. Put it into docs. And I'm going to close that. So then I'm going to close this invoice. If you can't see the end of it over there, then we got the icon up here. Go ahead and close that. Then before I close this, I'm just going to report this. Might as well export the export to the Excel button. I'm going to create a new worksheet, and it's going to go into an existing workbook. So we need to change this item down here. Now it's already going somewhere. It's going to go to the last time we put it to an existing workbook. If I click the browse button, it looks like it's right place, but it's actually going to the chapter 1, and we want to go to chapter 2. So if we could hit the drop down and find it, or we can go to the desktop over here. We can go to QuickBooks. We can go to week 1. We're on chapter 2. And then if I open chapter 2 and export, then it should open up Excel and create a new tab with this in it. So there we have it. I'm going to make this large. I'm going to then see it's sheet 1. I'm going to go to the page layout so I can see the header. I'm going to select OK when that pops up. There's the header. I'm going to go back, and I can see that it did the split thing again, which it does every time we export. And I'm going to go to the View tab at the top in the Windows group and click this split button so it gets rid of that split and puts this back to a normal format. Then I'm going to go back to the page layout tab, and I'm going to double click on the tab so that we can rename it to the transaction. I'm going to abbreviate by account AR or something like that. Go back to the normal tab here, and then we might want to put it at the end. So I'm going to drag. So I'm just going to drag it by putting my cursor on there and dragging it to the end, and then we can just save that and close that. Once again, if you don't have that option, you could go to the File Save As, or you can go to the Print option. If I saved it as a PDF file, then it's going to week 1, chapter 2, and then you probably don't want to get rid of the PDF here. We can call it once again transaction by account AR 1215, something like that, and that should save it to our area here. So we're in this folder, we're in week 1, we're in chapter 2, there's the items that we have. Okay, close the create invoice window. The transaction by account report, which was hidden, invoice appears. Number 6, double click anywhere on the row containing the payment reference 6503. All right, payment reference 6503. We were in there before, so I'm going to double click on that one. That will quick zoom to the payment window. A receive payment window appears. Note that this payment was payment on account and was applied to invoice 49. Yes, it was. So here's the invoice that it was applied to. Here's the amount of the payment. And close the report payment window. Close the transaction by account window. So once again, I'm just going to go ahead and print this while it's open. So in order to do that, we could go to File once again. And notice that the Save As is not there in this case. So we then could go to the Print button, and we could print it as a PDF. So I'm going to go to my PDF printer. And if it doesn't pop up, it might be behind the screen, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. Then it pops up. It's going where we want it to go right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, customer payment. And for